Hey everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel, Relax.Cut.Glue. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so happy to have you all here with me today. So as promised, I'm going to show you how I made my little traveler's notebook. It's very simple, very easy, and it's also a no-sew, so you can put loose leaf papers in here. Like this is not even connected to a signature. So it's really easy to take papers out and then put them back in and they still don't fall out. So, excuse me, you will need a laminator for this. So if you don't have a laminator, this is not the project for you, unless you know somebody who has a laminator. This is one I made many years ago, and on the inside I added like a little plastic pocket, and then here are my 4 signatures. So basically I did sew the signatures together, but you can take out the entire signature. So if you're a glue booker, this is great because then you can take it out and work on a flat surface. And then when you're done working, you can put it right back in. Or you don't even have to sew your signature. You can just put them in folded together. So this will give you 4 signatures. Now you'll notice this one's bigger than this one. And the reason why I made this the way I did is so that you can take one piece of 8.5 by 11 paper and fold it in half long ways, or hot dog style, if you will. Give it a little crease. And this will now make your signatures. So your signature will be 4 1/4. And then you'll cut this in half. Now this is 11 inches, right? Because this is an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. You folded it in half. So when you cut this in half, you'll get 2 pieces of paper that are 5.5 inches tall by 4 1/4 wide. And that is what is going to make your signatures. So these papers are 4 1/4 by 5.5. Now, I did that because now you can obviously make this taller, but then you have this excess paper, which you could save for another project. But I wanted to maximize my paper usage. So I just took a bunch of this paper, folded it like I just did here, and then cut it at 5.5 inches. It's literally cutting it in half. And now here's the beginning of a signature. So that way you maximize your paper. So let's work on cutting our cover. So this is my cover. I chose a double-sided. Now on this one, this is painting paper that I made. I cut it and then I glued it to a piece of cardstock because it was just on computer paper, and that's just way too thin. Now this is just a piece of cardstock that is double-sided, like scrapbook paper. So it's gonna be a little more on the flimsy side, but I'm okay with that. So first things first, we're gonna cut this, turn it sideways, because now we're cutting the height. So we're gonna cut it at 6 inches. That's how tall our book is gonna be. And the reason why it's 6, but our signatures are 5.5, is because we are adding some elastic, and so we wanna make up for the space. So that's why I made my book 6 inches, to give me a little bit of space between the elastics, and that also makes it so the elastic isn't pressing on the spine of your paper and bending it or ripping it. So the height of your book will be 6 inches, and now we just need to cut it down to 10. So your paper will be 6 inches by 10 inches. So here's your cover. Now I can save this paper for another project, or I can use this to make a signature. So I'll just set that over there. So now that we have our cover, you are going to get out your scoreboard. If you don't have a scoreboard, you can always use a butter knife and a ruler. So I am going to score that. This is so easy. You're just going to score it at 4.5, 5, and 5.5. So basically we're making a 1-inch spine. It's hard to see, maybe you can see it here. I have 3 lines there. So you're gonna do it at 4.5, 5, and 5.5. That's it, totally done. Now don't fold it. Don't fold it yet, okay? We wanna wait until after we laminate it to actually fold it. Okay, so I've been letting my laminator heat up, and I have a laminating sheet here. So I'm just going to put this in. Now, if you have something else you want to laminate, such as, I don't know, a bookmark or something that's ready to go, you can also slide that in there, but I'm not going to. I just want to make sure I have enough room to leave, because you want to cut a little bit around this, so I'm just using the whole sheet, because it's very important you leave some plastic all the way around. Okay, so here's my laminator. It's nothing special. I've had it for, I don't even know, 10 years maybe. And I'm going to put it in on the side that's already closed. So like, see how this, oh gosh, there's one of my hairs. Don't laminate it. By I mean already closed. See, this is the open side. And I'm just gonna run it through the laminator. And then it gets all shiny and pretty. I love this paper because there's gold on it. Ooh, does this make some of the gold go away? I feel like some of my gold dots are like coming off. Maybe not. Maybe it's just the angle. Ooh, it looks so pretty. Okay, so now I'm gonna turn this off. Oops. We'll let that cool down over here out of the way. So here's my laminated sheet. So now I'm going to get out my handy dandy paper slicer dicer. Okay, so you want to leave like 1/8 of an inch all the way around. So on my paper trimmer, this is where the line is that it cuts the paper, but right before it, there's like this little space, and I lined the edge of my actual paper up with that line right where the paper starts. So you can see right here, I leave, yeah, I just kind of line it up, but you don't have to do it this way. You can just cut it another way if you want, but that's just what I do. That way I get the same amount of plastic on every side. So right here where this starts, that's where I line up my paper. Oh my gosh, I didn't round the corners. Okay, before you do this, round your corners. I knew I was forgetting something. The reason why I round my corners on this is because the plastic is really sharp. So I normally round the corners on these, but obviously I totally forgot here. So that's okay though. I'm still gonna use it. Okay, and last one. Let's just line that up. Okay, so now we have that. I am going to round the corners of my plastic though, because they do get very sharp. And I'm just gonna use my small setting here, because I do not want to slice and dice myself while I'm trying to write or draw or whatever. Okay, so those are all rounded now. So now you're going to fold on those crease marks that you made earlier. If I can find them, there we go. Just take it slow, kind of crease as you go. Give it a little bendy poo. And I'm only creasing the outer two, not the middle one. So the 4.5 and the 5.5 inch lines. Okay, and then just kind of lightly fold that down. All right, so now here is our cover. Super cute. Okay, next step. Okay, I'm getting out my Crocodile. And now the reason why I'm using this is because it has two different holes. Regular hole punch, and then the smaller, what is this, 1/8 hole punch? That's the one I like to use, is the smaller one, because I'm using a thinner elastic, and I feel like the holes work better in the smaller. So if you have a smaller hole punch, this will be great. So basically, I'm going to punch a hole on that middle line and then right inside of both of our, so right in here and right in here and right in the middle. So let's start with the middle one first. It helps if you can, like right here, I'm kind of by a window so I can kind of see where my middle line is. Okay, and then I just want to go right on the inside. There we go. So there's 3 holes, and repeat on the bottom. Putting that middle score line in there really helps you to make your lines even. Uh-oh, shoot. My plastic moved a little bit. It's okay. It's not going to make a difference. So if you mess up, don't worry, like I just did. My plastic just kind of bounced over. You can always poke your holes before you fold it as well. I just find it easier for me, usually. So see, my hole is off just a little bit from the spine, whereas this one's like right up against the spine. It's totally okay. All right, so I personally don't have a punch that can make it into the middle here. So what I do is I grab my awl. Now you don't have to do this. This hole right here in the middle is going to be for this elastic to close your book. If you don't want that, you don't have to do this part. So basically I'm just gonna eyeball where the middle is for me, and on that middle score line, I mean, I could always like actually line it up somewhere. I'm just going to poke a little hole and give it some wiggle room. All right, so now I have my hole there. And now it is time for elastic. Now I have this elastic I got in the kids section at Michael's. So let's use that. I think I'm going to use this kind of olive green color. I think that would be pretty. Okay, so now here's the thing about how much elastic to use. I basically put my arms out and used about an arm's width all the way across. And that gave me enough for the middle hole and to string my book. I did have a little excess that I had to cut, but here's the thing. You don't want to have not enough, because then you are screwed. But if you have a little bit more, then yes, you might waste a little bit, but at least you have an easier time. Okay, so this is a little shorter than my arms. Okay, so here's how we're going to do this. First of all, I'm going to cut the edge of this because it's a little frayed. There we go. So you're going to have your book here, and I'm going to go in through the bottom. Let me make sure this is the bottom. Yes. I'm going to go in through the middle bottom and just kind of put this up here to the top and just leave that there. And then I'm going to take the other end and I'm going to go through the bottom on the side, bottom right. So what we have right here is this stays here. This hole went into the bottom right from the back. Now you're going to go up through the top right. See how we did that? Top right. Go in through the back into the middle. Okay. We're going to move this over to the side here. We're going to come down back into the middle. Get that in there. Pull that out. Make sure this piece is still at the top here. And make sure that this piece is to the side, to the right side. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. That's just what I do. Okay, and now we're going to come in through the back left. We're going to pull that. And we're going to go all the way up and out the top left. Still have this little piece dangling right here. And then we are going to come back in the middle, and then we are done. Well, you have to tie it, but you're basically done now. Okay, so now you have your three elastics, and then this will make your fourth. But first, let's kind of pull on our elastics. We want to make sure that they are tight, but not too tight to where it's pulling the book closed like this. So we want them tight, but not too tight. Now this one feels tighter, these feel looser. So let's pull that, tug on the elastic a little. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to tie these together. Okay, come on now. It's because I'm making a video, you know how that works. All right, and then cut off the excess. I mean, you can tie it more than, I tied it twice. I just made a knot. You can tie it one more time if you want. I guess I'll do it just for video's sake. Really not necessary, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Okay, cut that short. Okay, so now you have your 4 signatures, or spots for signatures. How did this one get loose all of a sudden? I think just because I pulled, there we go. Okay, now let's see, this piece should be long enough, just long enough. Okay, so here's how I did this part. I just took a piece of jewelry wire from when I used to make jewelry and I just bent it into a little V shape, and I'm just gonna put it in here, like, you know, I put it in between there, my little loop, and I'm gonna go through that middle hole that we made. And this will help me pull the elastic through this hole. There we go. And now I can just take this little piece off. So any wire you can find, I found that just this thinner kind of jewelry wire worked really well for me. Okay, so now I have it pulled through, and now I'm just gonna kind of leave this hanging because I want to see if this is even enough elastic. This might be perfect. That is actually perfect. Okay, so you're just gonna kind of close your book and put your elastic on. See if that feels too tight. If it's too tight, then you can take it off and kind of pull this out just a little bit more, and then it'll make it larger. But I like where mine is at right now. So I'm going to take this piece, these doubles that are hanging out here, and you can tie a knot however you want to tie a knot. I'm just going to grab both of the strings here and tie them together versus tying like a traditional knot like you would your shoelace, if that makes sense. And I'm just kind of pulling the string while I'm pushing the knot down to the bottom there. I'm gonna pull that tight, and then I'm gonna pull this tight. Just kind of, there we go. Okay, and now I'm gonna cut off the excess of this. I mean, you could add chains or whatever, or charms or whatever you want to that. All right, so now mine's a little flimsy because this is just kind of a heavyweight scrapbook paper, but if you use cardstock or anything, that will help. So here's your binding, here's your spine, and now you have your cover. And then for your signatures, where'd my other book go? This one. So like for this one, I took a bunch of sketchbook paper and I cut it down to 5.5 and 8.5. And then when you fold it in half, you get 4.25 by 5.5. And I didn't even make a signature for these. These are all just loosely in here so that I can take a paper out and I can draw. So I'm gonna add these in here. And once you add stuff, your book becomes sturdier. So I have that. And then I could always, so for this one, I did sew the signature. I just took a piece of scrapbook paper and some notebook paper and made a little signature, so you can open that up and put that in here as well. Or I could use decorative paper, like for this one, I used paper that came with the paper pad. So, you know, it's really pretty signatures. Each of them are the same. They just have blank, thick white paper in it. So you can do whatever you want. You could have different signatures for different things. You could have, you could make one signature for glue booking, one for journaling, one for grocery lists, one for, you know what I mean? Like you can make this kind of your everyday book that has different things in it. And this right here is quite a bit of paper, and it's all loosely in there. And then you just close it shut. And that is how you make the laminated traveler's notebook. I hope this tutorial was easy and that you guys understood all of the measurements. I'll put all the measurements down below, how, you know, the length that you're supposed to cut the paper. I'll put your score lines in there. If you have any questions after you've seen the video and you still are a little unsure, let me know down below and I will answer your questions for you. So easy peasy, lemon squeezy, you can totally do this. Very easy. And you can see, I kind of messed up on that, excuse me, on that one, like right here. You can't even tell. You cannot even tell that I made this that hole just a little bit closer. So you have forgiveness here. And it is so fun. And this is great, especially if you don't know how or don't like to sew signatures. You can put your paper in here loosely like I did, and it is not, it's not coming out. All right, guys, I hope you have a fabulous day and a great start to your week. I look forward to spending more crafty time with you this week. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch my video. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, drink lots of water, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye, friends.